Hello, everybody. Our session is also recorded because you are, some of your, colleagues cannot join at this moment. So I can save this entire video and then upload on the YouTube. Then you can have access to it later on. So currently, I have a poll going on. I updated course information, as you can see on the screen. And then it says, hold on, let me just close my poll. And then I can go back to the poll. If you look at the screen, we have updated course information. So basically, if I combine these two lectures together, you can finish everything by April 15. And then you can take some time and take the test the week of April 15 through 20th. Then this course will be over. If you need a bit more extended deadline, I can, of course, discuss with you. But, we have spring break, and then we have this April 15. So we have a lot of time. Hold on. I want to read my chat. You might go to the settings and set up camera and microphone. If you don't have your microphone, does it have? Okay, so somebody is giving advice to you too. Oh, you can't hear me? Hold on. How can I? Can you hear me better? Is it louder now? Okay, so my volume was low, so that's why. But as you can see, I have my headphone set, so I can talk to you. And your conversation is only audible to me, not to anybody else. But I'm sitting in my living room. You may see my children working in the background from time to time. Anyhow, going back to the poll going on. So now I still have 20 students. And then what is this number? Okay, what your preferences are. Okay, I have 20 students here. And then we are taking the poll between option and 1 and 2. So option 1 is, if you see the course information, we have like a short meeting every single week up to April 29. But what I am suggesting is, if I give you a short version of each PowerPoint, like for April 1 and April 15, then I can basically cover all these period of Meiji and contemporary. You may go back to the PowerPoint and review a little bit more on your own. But basically, I can give you a condensed version of my lecture on Edo and contemporary period, split between April 1st and April 15. So that was my suggestion. Whether you want to have a short version of my lecture and then spend some time and then study on your own, so that you are ready to take the test. Of course, I will give you the final review on April 15. Anyhow, we have more students joining. Now I have 23 students. So let me take attendance. Yeah, keep working on your poll, and then let me go to my quickly attendance, and then on my quickly attendance form, let me take the attendance. Today is March 25, and then I can see your names here. So let's see, Nadine, I saw Nadine, yes, and then Stephen Campanel, I see him. Melissa is not here. Like Melissa, unfortunately, has to move out of dormitory, and she's going to her own country, Guatemala. But as you can see, the airport is hectic, so she cannot fly until I think only April or so. So anyhow, Melissa said she doesn't have Wi-Fi access a little while. Yi Chen, I saw Yi Chen. Kylie Davis, I see. Ruby, where is Ruby Elliott? Do I see Ruby? Ruby? I guess Ruby is not here. Temporarily, I will say absent. Joran Fong is here. Leslie, I saw Leslie. Yes. Eldar, do I see it? Yeah, Eldar is here. Valentina Gomez, yes. Emily Jackson is here. Nathaniel Jerome is here. Saini Lee, okay. Jimmy Lee, I see Jimmy. And then Nicole Mendoza, Nicole, I saw Nicole. Yes, Nicole. What is it? Jennifer Montenegro is here, okay. Brooke Myers, Brooke, yes. Oh yes. Elizabeth, I saw her, yes. Sumin, uh, Sumin, yes. And then Amanda Paz, Amanda Pina, Jacqueline, yes. Kyra Porter, Kyra. Is there Kyra Porter? Kyra? I guess temporarily. Devin is here from early today. Like you are the first one who logged in. Thank you. Zuvian Xie. Hold on. Oh, Julian is here. Li Qian. Li Qian Zhang. Where is Li Qian? Hold on. Li Qian is here. I saw. Yeah, I saw you. And then Bei Yi Zhu. Where is Bei Yi? Bei Yi Zhu. Do you know what happened to Bei Zhu? Any friend here? Anyhow, so we have a 24 and then 3 absents. They are, yes, Amanda, I saw you, and then Bei, and then Kyra. Thank you, Li Qian. So you can text her and then let me know. I mean, is there anybody in your own home country by any chance? You can text us. Um, oh, Jennifer, yes.
Yeah, I'm home.
Oh, okay. Let me volume a little down so I can hear too loud. Oh, you are home? Where are you?
I live in Long Island.
Oh, also, okay. So yeah, most of you are safe and healthy. Uh, like I heard a terrible story, terrible news yesterday. The professor Carbone, who teaches in social sciences, he passed away due to COVID-19. We just heard yesterday from his family members, and we are told that he was in our department office P634 on March 11. So it's about 2 weeks, and you can see how dramatic the development of this disease is. It is so sad that one of our colleagues passed away due to this pandemic. Anyhow, even though you are young and healthy, it's very important that you have personal hygiene like rules, and then don't go outside. I tell this to all of my friends and students that even though you are young, if you get contacted, you don't know what the consequences will be. I mean, that's why it's dangerous. It's a new version of a virus. Anyhow, Sai Ni says she's in Taiwan. I'm glad that you are able to fly back. Anyhow, so according to our poll so far, shall I do show responses? Do you see the show responses, I guess? So we agreed that we want to have the final meeting on April 15 and take the exam April 15 to 20th. I think this is the best idea. And then, like we will see how you are doing in your midterm exam and, your final exam. And I may eliminate your museum paper because we did a lot of work. Hi, Kyra. I just saw you are joining. So let me change your attendance record and then submit. Kyra just came in. What happened to Bei? No answer. And then Melissa is not coming. Melissa excused. Okay. So I submitted. Okay. So yeah. So I may eliminate your museum paper because you did 7 like times of discussion. I think that's a lot of writing. And then also you explore the museum collections already for your tea ceremony assignment. Did you take a look at the tea ceremony assignment? Anyhow, so we are going to follow the scheme. April 15, our last meeting, and then final exam shortly after. But if couple of you need some extension, please let me know. I am willing to work with you. So this is closed. Hold on, let me close. How do I end the poll? Wow. Oh, ending poll. Okay. So it's a lot of learning for myself as well. Now I am moving to, hold on, stop sharing. And then, do you see me on the screen? Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
so, okay, I just wanted to say hello to you because um, I just, like, I'm so happy that see you, all of you, but what I am seeing on my screen is it's all like a graphic images of you in square, and then I see your names. Anyhow, so that's what I am looking at. And anybody wants to say hello? Oh, I see. Aldar, right? Yeah, nice. You have a very beautiful kitchen. Congratulations, your pet family. Yeah. Do you see my Lego painting behind? That's a work of an artist. And what else can I do? Oh, and then I want to test one thing. This is called. Hold on. This is called uh, grouping. Hold on. It takes a little time for me to organize. Hold on. Breakout groups. I want to try this. Now I have 4 groups of 6. This is nice. So it's a random group. But can you see? I'll give you about 5 minutes and see whether you can talk to each other among 4 of you. Okay, I have 24 students. So I divided you into groups, like 4 students in each group. So see whether you can talk to each other, okay? Let me start, and then I can end in another 5 minutes. Can you hear me still? I just wanted you to talk to each other because it's nice. Can you hear me? Like some of you say you cannot hear me. Oh, because okay. I am in the main room. We'll go in. Uh, So hello everybody in group one. Can you hear me? Uh,
Wait, what?
Hello everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes.
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 Yes. Yeah, so were you able to talk to each other a little while?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Was it working?
Yeah.
yeah, it's working.
Oh, okay, so do you like breakout group? It's better than talking to 20 some people, right?
Yeah, it's kind of
That's
better.
much better.
Yeah. So, okay, I just wanted to test whether it's working or not. And then at the end of today's session, I want to talk, I want to do this again so that you can ask each other whether you understood the exam format and other things, okay? So now everybody is back on the large screen, right? You are looking at me. And oh, Melissa said that she fixed her Wi-Fi. That's great. So is Melissa joining us? Do I see Melissa? Well, not yet, but well, anyhow, she can join us. And that's why we are recording this entire session. Anyhow, so now I am going into the midterm exam review. And today I am going to give you a little bit of midterm exam review. And then I will give you some breakout session again so you can talk to each other, whether you understood well or not. And then we will regroup and then I will start talking about Edo period. But our session will be over by 10:30ish. The reason I am ending a little bit earlier is you remain throughout, until our usual class time, and then actually you can finish your own study. And maybe later today, when you feel like you are ready, you can start taking the midterm exam review. So now, let me go to, hold on, let me share my slide. Hold on. Let me put up this and then share my application that is my midterm exam review. Takes a little time. It always takes a little time. Okay, now do you see my PowerPoint? Well, somebody say yes. Okay, thank you. Okay, I see a lot of yes. All right, so now I'm going to the presentation mode. So the midterm exam review is from prehistory to Heian period. So that's the earlier part of this semester. So you will have access to this midterm exam review. If you go to midterm exam folder, if you click it, then you will see the PPT. So you can leave if you have to, and then you can pull up your own the PPT app, and then you can type it in as I talk to you, or you can make a drawings or something. Or usually it's a good idea that if you have a piece of paper next to you, you can quickly jot down. So this is very important. So the midterm exam has three components. One is terms and techniques that we already studied last week. And then we have a slide test, which I am reviewing right now. And then you have a short essay. But essays, you have choices, and you can practice it ahead of time. And then in terms of your midterm exam slide test, it's a multiple choice. You should be very happy to see those questions. There are about 10 questions. Some are yes and no question, meaning it's a true and false. So I have a certain statement. It will say, is it true or is it false? Then you will say, oh, that's false. Some of them are multiple choice. You choose out of four. Or you also have a fill in the blank. So and so is the sculptor of this statue, and you are going to write the name of the sculptor. Anyhow, so midterm exam review. So look at the prehistory, right? Neolithic period, Bronze Age, right? And then we go to Asuka period, Nara, Heian period. So mostly these are their centuries, 7th, 8th, 9th through 12th century. So prehistory period, if you remember, we had a 3 period, Jomon, Yayoi, Kofun. By now, you should be able to read and write these period names. Moving on. So Jomon period is Neolithic period of Japanese history. So we studied this type of Jomon pottery. Do you remember what Jomon meant? It is cold marks. Remember the cold mark? Here on the surface, you can see, I have actually pen, you can see this type of cold marks. That is Jomon. So you have to know the word. And then you also had this type of different type of potteries, and they are all earthenware with painted decoration. Earthenware, meaning there is no glass coating. Usually the dates are 3000 through 1000 BCE. And this is very important. What is the name of this particular work? Called 도오구. Sorry. Very messy handwriting. Remember dogu? So it's a clay figurine, and that was also created. There is no e, like a dogu, dogu, made during the Jomon period. And then if you come to the Yayoi period, do you see the Yayoi period here? You are going to have smooth surface, and then the copper, including clay, is covering the top of the ceramic so that you have this a little shiny surface. And then if you come to the Kofun period, you start to have a large tomb. Remember what Kofun meant? This is also part of your terms and techniques. Kofun literally means ancient tombs. So Kofun period, you start to see a large tombs like this. So what can you tell about the tombs? There is stratification of social groups, right? You have emperors, you have aristocrats. You are going to start to see division of social classes. So Kofun period, usually around that Kofun, like large tombs, you had these earthenware, clay figures. This is figures. They are larger, as you can see, about 50 inches tall. And what is the name of these figures? Kofun period clay figures are called Haniwa. What does Haniwa literally mean? Do you remember? It means pinwheels of clay, like a clay cylinders. So each limbs or the torsos are all created like a cylinder, like a clay cylinder, and then they are conjoined together in order to make these large statues. What was the purpose of the Haniwa? They were usually guardian figures. Now, if you come to the Asuka period, what was the most important element? Buddhism. Introduction of Buddhism. So a pivotal figure in the introduction of Buddhism was Prince Shotoku, and the most important temple for Asuka period was Horyuji Temple. So remember this Horyuji compound, and can you tell what major components of these? So there is Chumon, like an inner gate, and then between these two, which one is Kondo or the Golden Hall? Well, this is the Golden Hall, right? Golden Hall. Then what's the name of this 5-story tower? Pagoda, right? Pagoda. And then all the way on the back, this is lecture hall. So that's Asuka period Horyuji Temple, sponsored by the Prince Shotoku. So it's a royal foundation. So inside Kondo, the Golden Hall, you have this bronze statue. and it has a sculptor's name. Remember sculptor's name? His name is Toribushi, and this Shaka Trinity. Shakyamuni in the center, and then two attending bodhisattvas on the side. And this is 632 in Horyuji Temple, 46 inches tall because you have this halos all the way in the back. But as you remember in details, they are all detachable, right? Like a bronze statues are cast separately and they are all assembled as a big ensemble like this. And stylistic characteristics of Asuka's period is to have very rigid, symmetrical compositions of figures. You can see this well delineated draperies, symmetrical, not so much of movement. But if you come to the late Asuka period, beginning of 8th century, you see this type of Amida triad, Amitabha, remember Amitabha, the Lord of the Western Paradise. In this case, he's a little bit more voluminous. And then even Bodhisattva has a little bit of S curve on the body, a little bit of swaying movement. So that will be a little bit of change. So, and this is a wall painting inside Horyuji Temple. And then, do you remember this famous work, Tamamushi Shrine of Horyuji Temple? Do you remember what the story was like? And in this case, I just quickly stop sharing. And I want to hear from you. I mean, every 10 minutes or so, I pause and then, talk to you. Do you remember what that work was? Anybody who wants to raise a hand? Oh, Elizabeth, yes.
The Tamamushi Shrine, wasn't it about the jewel beetle? And how, like, they use the beetle shell to, like, crush and make, like, pigments?
Yes, that's the good point. Not necessarily a pigment, but remember the beetle that I showed you? So they collect the surface crust of it, and then they inlaid that crust underneath the silver borders, like metals on the borders of that wooden cabinets. So that's why it's called Tamamushi Shrine. And then we studied one painting on it. Remember what the painting was? Anybody wants to volunteer? Well, let's see. Jimmy, can you tell us what was depicted on the Tamamushi shrine?
One of the incarnations of Prince Shakyamuni's out the story from the Jakarta of how he fearlessly jumps off the cliffs and into the den of the tiger to feed the tiger mom.
Yes, everybody remembers that famous story. We spent a lot of time about the shocking element of these stories. So now I'm going back to hold on. Hold on. How do you see the full screen? Hold on. Do you want to ink this card? Okay. Hold on. Let me see what you can see. I have to share my slide. Okay, hold on. Going back to the sharing application. No application. Sharing midterm exam. Okay. So I think now you can see it. Yeah. So Tamamushi Shrine. The beetles shells were inserted under this metallic. Here. Hold on. Under the metallic, like a surface, so that's why it has iridescent glow in the darkness, right? But we are talking about a story from the previous life of Shakyamuni on the side panel. So that is this story. Hungry Tigress Jataka panel from Tamamushi Shrine, dated 650. So it's a lacquer on wood. And then these are the metal borders. So the surface is wood, and then you have a lacquer, the tree sap, and then a little bit of seashells here and there, for the action of the story. So in one of those previous lives of Shakyamuni, he was Prince Makasata, and he, out of great compassion, right, out of great compassion and empathy, he wanted to save the lives of these hungry tigress, mother tiger, and two baby cubs. So he jumped off the cliff and then sacrificed himself. So Buddhism is teaching this type of new type of humanity, like a new moral lessons, sacrificing yourself on behalf of other creatures. In this case, not just a human being, it's creatures. So that is the Asuka period painting. It's not really a freestanding painting, but you can use this wooden panel as an example of showing the pictorial narrative of Asuka period. So the figure is depicted 3 times in order to tell us the storyline, right? And then this is the famous Horyuji Pagoda, 5-story pagoda. So in Japan, throughout the period, 5-story pagodas has special meanings. And then inside you have a clay sculpture group of death of Shaka. And again, if you come to the 8th period, like a late Asuka period, you are going to see expression of emotions, a little bit more realistic. So that's what we discussed. Now, this one you can skip, but again, toward the end of Asuka period, you are going to see this type of a little bit more voluminous and naturalistic statues. It's a Yakushi, Buddha of healing, like he has a healing power, and made of gilt bronze. So now, Nara period. Remember Nara period? They had a frequent contact or cultural exchange with China, and the most important temple of Nara period is Todaiji. You had a discussion about Todaiji temple, and then dry lacquer technique is important. This can be one of those multiple choice. I will show you a statue and say what is the technique of this Buddhist statue. Number 1, wood carving. Number 2, dry lacquer. Number 3, clay. Number 4, bronze casting. So you have to choose out of 4. Now, Nara period, the most important monument is Odaiji Temple. And then we also spend some time talking about this number 8, that is Shoso in treasury. What is the meaning of the Shoso in treasury? Can you try to answer yourself? So this particular building is not the temple. This is a warehouse, right? Storage. In this storage, Emperor Shomu gave all of his diplomatic gifts and other treasures, so that everything entered this Shoso Inn is dated around 750, right? And then the door was never open until the beginning of the 20th century. So a lot of you answered this as a time capsule, which is correct. And it has certain architectural features that is equivalent to what is it? The Shinto shrine and other types of warehouses. So above the ground to keep off from the moist or the rain, and then it's safely guarded. So if you go inside, so Emperor here, show personal objects. So if you go in, you have exotic elements from China or from Persia, and one of them is this musical instrument, like a string instrument. But on the panel, you have this type of painting, and it shows entertainers riding an elephant. Here, the elephant, you see the nose, elephant nose, elephant against a landscape background. So again, this is not really freestanding painting, but you can imagine during the Nara period, there is certain technique for rudimentary perspectival drawing. The birds, fly disappearing all the way to the far distance. This kind of perspectival illusionism. And then people in the foreground are large and clear, and they are Central Asian musicians. They are not Asian, like a Chinese or Japanese Asian people, like more like exotic Central Asian people. So this is a better line drawing. People play musical instrument and dancing. And also in Shoso, in Treasury, you have this type of exotic textiles. And this particular one was given to Prince Shotoku, but the round, the medallion like this. And then the symmetrical, like archers. These are motifs coming from Sasanian, Persia Empire, or other parts of Central Asia. So it's international style. That was important part. In Todaiji Temple, the most memorable object was this colossal Buddha created by Emperor Shomu, and many parts were restored. As we studied, especially face and the hand, but the body, then this colossal size of 52 feet, these were relatively faithful to the Nara period itself. And then this is how you see it from the front. And remember the Fuku Kenjaku Kannon. Kannon means Avalokiteshvara. It means Bodhisattva of mercy. And this is from esoteric Buddhism. Remember esoteric Buddhism, which emphasizes the secretive practices. So why you have 8 arms, like here, 1, 2, 3, and then you have one more, like a 4. Why do you need 4 pairs of arms? In order to show omnipotence of Bodhisattva of mercy, like a very powerful figure who can help anybody anywhere. So this central figure is created as a hollow dry lacquer technique. Remember, it's a layers of cloth soaked in lacquer liquid, so that eventually all the clays are taken out. It's a hollow, sort of a light. And then 2 attending figures are made of clay. So this is climax of Nara period Buddhist statue making made of dry lacquer technique. And then there are 4 guardian figures that we studied. One of them called the Tamonten in Todaiji Temple. They are made of clay, so that they have this beautiful acrobatic posture, but standing very well. The other 4 guardian figures that we studied for Horyuji Temple, in the main hall, the golden hall, they were carved out of wood. So they are rectangular blocks. So this is what I mean by Horyuji Temple made of wood. And then Todaiji 4 guardian figures made of clay. So you can see action, movement, and then dynamic postures of 4 guardian figures of the Nara period. Now, remember Tosho Daiji Temple? It was built shortly after Todaiji. And here you had a memorable monk named Ganjin. His Chinese name is Jianjian. So he came to Japan in 753 out of numerous attempts. And in one of those attempts, he got blinded out of sickness, right? So that was one. If you go into Tosho Daiji Temple, you have a Virushana Buddha, like an eternal light. Buddha, spring Buddha out of all the Buddhas. That's the Virushana means. Again, dry lacquer technique. And then this is the Prince Ganjin, made of dry lacquer technique, so that again it was kept in the temple throughout the period as a model for other monks. So now finally Heian period. What is the important element of Heian period? this is the golden age of Japanese culture. So during the Heian period, Japan lost contact or frequent contact with China because China was going through period of confusion and division. So the Japan had to develop their own cultural vocabulary. So emaki painting, do you remember? Hand scrolls, and then Pure Land Buddhism. I really want you to remember these words, Pure Land Buddhism and esoteric Buddhism. You should be able to distinguish between the two. And then you can explain what that is. So later when I give you breakout time, we talk to other friends about what Pure Land Buddhism is, esoteric Buddhism is. Pure Land Buddhism is equivalent to Western paradise. Remember the Western paradise where the Amida Buddha is. Amida. Or Amitabha in Sanskrit, right? So that's the place, like sort of paradise you want to go. And so Thai Buddhism is more like a lot of secretive practices and tools that you need in order to practice. So Heian period, there is a beautiful temple called the Phoenix Hall. It's the name of this particular pavilion here. And inside temple called Byodo-in. Byodo-in is the name of temple, like a Horyuji. And then inside you have a pavilion or a hall that's called Hodo, meaning Phoenix Hall. It looks like a phoenix, like a bird, like a perching by the the lake. This is artificial lake. And the vision of this architecture with artificial pond, you have a beautiful tiled roofs, looks like a phoenix bird perched by the seashore, and the reflections of these beautiful pillars, right? You see the same reflections here. These are called Pure Land Buddhism. Lotus Sutra. Remember the Lotus Sutra? Lotus Sutra had a lengthy descriptions about this Western paradise, how it looks like. So Phoenix Hall is visualization of those. So once you go into the Hodo, the Phoenix Hall, you are going to see this beautiful statue, the main Amida Buddha, because it's a Pure Land Buddhism. The main statue should be Amida, right? So what is it made of? It is wood with lacquered cloth and gold leaf, but it's mainly wood. And who is the sculptor? Jocho, right? We have the name of the sculptor and wood, and this is the beginning of Yoseki. Remember, you worked on the Yoseki definition of it in the discussion a week ago. Yoseki. Now you have a mandala, like a visualization of the Buddha's land. So this is Taijo Kai of Ryokai mandala. There are two of them. And then Amida Raigo. Remember the Heian period Amida Raigo? What does Raigo mean? Coming down or descent. So this type of Buddhist painting in which Amida is not residing in Pure Land. He actually left his palace and coming to where? Coming to us, coming to this world in order to take us safely back to the Western paradise. So this particular iconography of Amida, surrounded by many bodhisattvas and deities, and flying on top of the cloud, was depicted several times. Where was it painted? Silk painting. And there are other iconography of Buddhist deities. This is Shakyamuni. So emaki painting, right? Emaki painting is translated painted hand scroll. So you can read about it. Genji Monogatari. I am not going to do not going into a lot of detail. So now back to myself. So do you have any questions? Or let me see what the chat is about. I see you, but not the presentation. It's in capsule. Yes. Yes. So I suppose all of you understood me well. Any questions? Raise a hand. What day the midterm exam due? 29th. Today is Wednesday, so you can finish by Sunday evening. The exam, Eldar?
Yes, as far as the midterm, do we have to do the essay and multiple choice at the same time?
No, I will now show you the the Blackboard and explainer window. Hold on, application, and then go to application window, go to here, and then takes a little time, but hold on. Here, if you go to content, make it a little bit larger, and then do you see this folder midterm exam? So this is exactly where you can find your exam review. This is what I went through, right? And then this is the format, so you can read all of it. So slide identification, there are 10, but most of them are, as I mentioned earlier, multiple choice, true or false, or fill in the blank. There may be one or two which will ask you write a short essay. Then it's similar to your other visual analysis. And then terms, here there are a lot of terms that we studied, and it's a matching. You will see the definition of it, and then you are going to find corresponding word to that definition, and then essay. So there are questions such as discuss how Japan's changing relationship with China and Korea impacted its art and cultural development from prehistoric to Heian period. This is very much like Asuka period discussion post. Remember, like the impact of Buddhism and what kind of changes it created. And then second, why do you think the Japanese were eager to adopt Buddhism in the Asuka and Nara period, right? And then what are the unique elements of Todaiji? Name a few famous monuments here. So these are all basically recapitulation of your discussion activities. So what I urge you to do is take some time and then try to jot down your organized ideas. And then, once you write it, you can write it better in the actual test. So going up to the test, if you click the midterm essay, you will have this image and says you have 1 hour and 30 minutes. That's a lot of time. And then you can write about 500 words. But if you don't really have a 500 words, you can write 300 to 50. But what I'm saying is I want a little bit of length. I don't want you to write like 3 sentences. I want you to write about 3 to 4 paragraphs. That's what I'm saying. So each component is separate. So for example, I want to take the essay today. So you can take the essay today. And midterm exam, the terms, somebody should mute. There is a background noise. Midterm terms and techniques, you can take it anytime you want. It is short. I mean, it give you 1 hour, but it only takes 20 minutes at most. So that's something you can take on Thursday. And then you can take midterm slides some other time. And slide, again, I gave you 1 hour. But because these are 10, there is an echo, sorry. I don't know why. Amanda Paz. Well, I don't know. Somebody, I see you, and maybe the background noise is coming from you, Amanda. Can you mute yourself?
Okay, so maybe that's why, because my little brother is taking his classes too.
Ah, that's why. So Amanda, just mute yourself. Oh, thank you. Yeah. Okay, great. Anyhow, so you can take a midterm slide anytime you want. It takes about 30 minutes, I guess. So that's it. So you don't take it all at the same time. You take it as it pleases you, as you are ready. Sounds good? And then so that's the sort of midterm exam terms. But the terms I would go to here. Remember terms and techniques. Download here materials up to Kamakura, and then study all of those. I want you to be knowledgeable about Japanese art after this semester, right? You want to know more. So that's it. Any other questions? Let me stop sharing.
I have
And
a
then,
question.
yes.
Because like you were just like the thing is that I actually took the midterm already because I saw on Blackboard
Mm,
that it says it's due tonight at
mm,
11:59. But
mm.
then you're saying that it's open today till the 29th.
Yes, I can. Yeah, I saw you that you took it. Anyhow, we can discuss your exam by email. I don't want to expose too much.
No, no, it's okay. I was like, and also like I guess like another question is like,
Mm.
is it possible to like retake it again, like do
Uh,
it multiple times, or is it just one
no,
time?
not just one time, but
Okay.
if you have a technical error, like in the halfway through you ran into some Wi-Fi interruption, you can let me know so that I can erase your first attempt and give you another attempt. I can have those administrative control. And then, and also somehow you took the techniques and materials, you think you studied really hard, but somehow the result is really disappointing to you, then you can email me. I mean, I want you to do well. Not that you are cheating on the system, but I want you to study. I want you to study and you really understand what the material is. That's the goal. And those midterm exam essays, if you already participate in the discussion, I mean, even now, I think you can write a pretty good answer. So psychologically, I think you should feel confident. So anyhow, the due date, Brooke Meyer says, yes, I will. Yeah, just ignore the due date. Sorry about the it's automatic alert from the Blackboard system. But I can, adjust the what is it? The due date. So Sunday 29th. Sounds good? I guess sounds good. Now I want to go to Edo period. I want to start a little bit of Edo period, and then when things are ready, you can. What did I want to say? Yeah, I want to start Edo, but I will finish around 10:30-ish. Okay, and then around 10:20-ish, I actually stop myself, and then we will talk as a group again, and then we have another, time to talk to each other, uh, and that would be nice. Hold on, I'm sharing. Uh, oh, I was not talking. I was on mute. So anyhow, yeah, I am learning a new mode, and now we are back. And then I wanna show you my edu period. So let me share my application with you. Application edu period. Okay, so Edo period is a continuation from Momoyama period. So remember the Momoyama period, there were three major generals. They were Toyotomi Hideyoshi, the short man who owned the Golden Tea House, right? And then the second person was Oda Nobunaga. Oda was Toyotomi Hideyoshi's boss, like a shogun. And then, but out of three, the youngest was Tokugawa Ieyasu, and it was Tokugawa Ieyasu who won the power. So now I can use a laser pointer. Yeah, so Tokugawa Ieyasu over here. And then, so this is a portraiture of Tokugawa Ieyasu. In Asian art, usually the clothes are ceremonial and stereotypical to show their social status. And then the background here is his estate. But they pay a lot of attention just for the face to create a little bit resemblance to the actual person. This kind of ceremonial portraiture is made by court painter. In this case, what his name, Kano Tanyu. This is again a member of Kano school of painting. Remember Kano school in Momoyama period? They started from the Muromachi period. What is interesting during that Tokugawa period is Edo period. There are people like Hasegawa Tsune Nobu who studied. Tsunenaga, who started, I guess, sailing around the world. And as you can see this, does it look like oil painting to you? And then this ship is a close-up view on the right side. So this is actually a painting by a Roman painter when Hasekura visited the Pope in Rome. He was a Christian. He was a Catholic Christian. So he went to Rome to see Pope and other Christian churches, and he made some diplomatic relations. But Tokugawa Ieyasu, as you can see here, his diplomatic policy was closed door, or it's called saikoku. He closed his borders. Well, with this COVID-19 pandemic, doesn't remind us of our own time. So Tokugawa Ieyasu didn't want Portuguese merchants. He didn't want Christian missionaries. He wanted Japan to remain intact. So this is Hasekura Tsunenaga's travel around the world. Like it was possible, right? The 17th century, already this travel route was well established by Portuguese and Spanish merchants and other geographic explorers. So it was possible. He left 1913, came back 2020, took almost 7 years, but you can certainly travel around the world. But Tokugawa Ieyasu and his allies didn't want this. So what did they do? They only opened this little port in Nagasaki. Remember Nagasaki in Kyushu Island? They only opened this port. And do you see this fan-shaped little fortress? This is called Dejima. Dejima over here. So Dejima is an artificial island. So only Portuguese and Spanish mercantile ships can come to Dejima. But they cannot land a foot on the actual Japanese soil. So Japanese merchants will go into Dejima and show their merchandise and have some transactions. So this is an interesting point. Even though Tokugawa Ieyasu had a closed door policy against all those foreign visitors, he still had one port open. That was Nagasaki. And in order to push off Portuguese merchants, Tokugawa Ieyasu allowed only one group of merchants. They were Dutch merchants. So there is a long relationship between Dutch merchants and Japanese people from the 17th century on, 17th 18th and 19th century until 1850, Dutch merchants can come in. And also look at this wonderful landscape. Is it oil painting? Well, no, right? A monochrome. So it's not oil painting. This is etching, like a metal print. So it's made by Dutch artists in order to show that exotic Japanese port, Dejima in Nagasaki Bay, to their own people. So it's like a Dutch style landscape for Dutch audiences. So during the Tokugawa period, Tokyo was such a beautiful place to live, and Kyoto, this is Rakuchu, Rakugaiju, means views inside and outside Kyoto. So during Tokugawa family's dynasty, there was no civil war, and people were living really peacefully and extravagantly even because commerce was very robust. So Kyoto, people like to go to Kyoto as an ultimate travel destination because there are old temples and imperial palaces, beautiful shops. You can see these are like a street, sort of a Fifth Avenue of New York City, right? You can see a lot of people walking down the streets, and you can see a little bit greenery. So these are like let's say April and May. So people like to visit Kyoto and celebrate the peaceful time of Tokugawa reign. So this is Kyoto. You can see the grid patterns of Kyoto, and then outside. Like people also go to mountains for retreat and sceneries. So during the Tokugawa period, there are a lot of theatrical performances were made. Again, this is a sign of robust economy and standards. So aristocrats in Kyoto, they like to enjoy this traditional theater called no. There are a lot of literature on no. No is a little high form of art. And conversations on the no stage is like an erudite conversations. And if you watched a little bit of Genji Monogatari, remember like a footages of Genji Monogatari, conversations are very much like those. A little poetic, sometimes enigmatic. You don't really understand what this particular word means, but there are long history of literary tradition. So usually no is performed in a, as you can see in this middle picture, in the residence of a high aristocratic family. Usually it's all paid for by the family. And then they will invite no actors, and a lot of families own the no costume because they like 2, 3 plays so much that they own all the props and masks. Do you see the masks? And then this lavish clothing, and they make the stage for a few days during the performance. So it's really showing the lavish performances and then the luxury that they can afford. So then what about low rank people, right? What about the ordinary citizens? So during the Tokugawa period, they developed a new form of art called kabuki. You may heard about those word kabuki. So it's very exaggerated, and they didn't use this mask. Mask is expensive. It's artisanal form, so they have to paint directly on their face. So very thick theatrical makeup, and dresses are lavish, and then you can walk among the audiences. So it's a little bit more sensational and dramatic, and then storylines are more immediate and direct. So they don't use literary analogies. They just have villains and love stories and so forth. So again, this is a Edo period, like a Tokugawa period landscape showing us how no theater was performed. See, like you have the stage. I mean, this is audience's balconies, and then you have theater itself, and a lot of people were invited. And then during the Edo period, the new style of painting was created. One of them is called sotatsu. So if you are not shogun or aristocratic family, but still want you to decorate your house, you needed something suitable and peaceful, and that is this type of landscape screen painting, Pine Islands by Sotsu. So decorative. They are not heroic in scale, but pretty, still very pretty and decorative. So Sotatsu, as you've seen earlier, and this one, Sotatsu is a member of new school of painting called Rinpa. I will show you in a moment. And this particular painting, do you remember these deities that we studied last time in Kamakura period? You should remember. Which one is Thunder God? Thunder God, right? Like these drums. And then the other is wind god, remember? So these popular Buddhist characters are now painted on golden screen painting, and it's made by Sotatsu, and this is part of a temple, Kenninji. So you can see that there are a lot of other thunder gods. And Sotatsu, one of his most important collaborator was Ogata Korin. You must remember Ogata Korin. So the name Rinpa school is coming from Korin's name. Ogata is a family name, Ogata family, and his name is Korin. His younger brother's name is Kenzan, that we are going to see in a moment. So Ogata Korin created this beautiful painting called Iris. So Kano school was still flourishing. So imperial family, aristocrats, and shoguns, they will invite Kano to decorate their palaces. But like one level low, wealthy merchants or wealthy samurais, they also wanted to decorate their houses, their own rooms. So for those of people who are appropriate artists were this group of Sotatsu and Ogata Korin. And they are called, I'm going to move here, they are called, where do I have a Rinpa school? So let's look at Rinpa school first, and then I will go back. So Honami Koetsu, we saw his work toward the end of Momoyama period. And the Rinpa school is succeeding Koetsu, and it was by Ogata Korin and his brother Ogata Kenjan, and Sotatsu was also part of Rinpa school. So what is amazing about Rinpa school? They created an abstract canvas with poetic subject matters. You will see when I explain in their paintings, and then techniques are important. You are going to see Tarashi Komi technique later on. I will explain a little bit more Tarashi Komi technique. And then they borrowed subject matter from the Heian period, mostly Yamato's painting, and then flower and birds. They are related to Kano style. They are not totally unrelated, but the styles are a little bit more poetic, feminine, and then poignant. There is always a little bit of sadness in it. So anyhow, what is important about Rinpa school is they inspired a number of European and American collectors in the later period. So going back to Ogata Korin. So this is irises. So it's a popular subject matter. Here you have only irises flowers, right? But there is more irises with bridges. So this is actually a set. You have one more like this. You have earlier one and you have a later one. So bridges are connected. So this has a literary connotation. Where does it come from? These are eight-flanked bridge, yatsuhashi. And this eight-flanked bridge is a section in Ise Monogatari, Tales of Ise, from the Heian period, right? So what they are referring to is this. I have a beloved wife, familiar as the skirt of a well-worn robe, And so this distant journeying fills my heart with grief. So this particular passage is a poem read by a merchant or a peddler who has to live a long journey. And he is deciphering this little poetry by the Yatsubashi. This is a location in Tokyo. So it's a famous monument for local attractions, right? So by here, he saw iris flowers, and then he's talking about his sadness. I have to leave again, then I have to leave my wife behind. So people who see this irises painting, the like wealthy merchants and wealthy samurais, like a well-educated samurais, they will be reminded of these stories. So iris flowers are not necessarily signs of beauty. It also has the signs of what the symbols of separation or leaving behind, and also what will happen. Flowers will wither eventually, right? Those kind of ideas. So there is always a little bit more poetic elements of it. And regarding the technique, so there is no background. As you see on the golden background, is all like a little gold foils. Attached together, right? Well burnished, so it's all shiny. And then you have a little bit decorative and ornamental iris flowers, right? If you have a little bit crop of it, it's just what is it, like a flower painting kind of thing. And then Tarashi Komi, Tarashikomi, Tarashi Komi means dropping. So if you see the bridges, you see a little bit of ink smudges here and there. So Ogata Korin and his group of people invented a new technique of directly dropping ink on the surface and then see the casual effect of colors mixing on top of this paper. These are all painted on paper. So this is called the Tarashi Komi technique, and they have a beautiful effects out of those. You will see another example later on. So Ogata Korin mainly painted, but he also created a decorative ornaments like this. And most of the scenes like this coming from Ise Monogatari, Genji Monogatari, or other types of literature. Or the cow among the grasses, it's a lacquer box. And then, so this one. So this is another masterpiece called Red and White Plum Blossoms by Ogata Korin. And these are two pieces. One is a two panel over here, white blossom. And then the other is this half, red blossom. But if you combine them together, then what do you see here? What are these scroll waves? So this is the river. So in order to achieve this particular technique, again, Ogata Korin tried the Tarashi Komi technique, like a dropping ink and then he also used the silver for this type of little metallic surface. So his group was innovative in mixing different materials. And also, if you see here, obviously the background itself is gold foil, but you see this large tree trunk of cherry blossom trees, like this little, old moles, signs of aging. Those are again achieved by mixture of silver directly mixed with drops of paint on the surface. So this is beautiful painting from 1710. So this is what I meant. It's originally two. And then this type of technique inspired a number of European painters in the later period. So this is the famous Austrian painter's work called Kiss. Gustav Klimt is an Austrian artist of the early 20th century, and he was struck by the flatness and decorative elements of Limpa school of painters, and then he wanted to convey that sentiment into his work. So you can see the gold foils and these decorative elements on his mosaic style dresses. He also had this kind of painting. And Kenjan, Ogata Kenjan, the younger brother, he was a ceramic artist, so he is going to make this. So in a way, this is a continuation from the Momoyama period. Remember the wabi and sabi? That sentiment was carried on by the Edo period, the Rinpa school. Sakai Hoitsu is the last master of this school. Ogata Koin and Sotatsu, they were all living in Kyoto, and their clients were usually living in Tokyo. So they had to send their works to all the way to Tokyo. And Sakai Hoitsu, he is from samurai family, and he was living in Tokyo. So he started his own Tokyo school of Rinpa. So this is what we were talking about, the Rinpa school earlier. Kano school continuously painted large-scale painting, like a Kano Sansetsu, from the Edo period. So this type of aged plum, this is directly painted on the sliding doors. So high nobility, imperial family, and like shoguns or daimyos, really high-ranked people, still employed the Kano school of painters. This is one rarity. So, so what's important in Tokugawa period is there is no need for samurais anymore because there is no war. Tokugawa created such a peaceful regime that there is no civil war. So a lot of samurais spent their time reading and writing. They became intellectuals. So this one is a work by Kyo Nankai. He is a painter. So he painted this literary painting subject matter of bamboo only in ink, but he painted on this beautiful clothes. Uchikake is like a jacket over the kimono. And he made this for this person's concubine. Karakane Koryu was a wealthy merchant, and he asked Kiyonankai to decorate his concubine's clothes. So Kiyonankai painted on it. And then Maruyama Ukyo is another independent painter. And what is interesting about Maruyama is he studied European illusionism. So in a way, he was a unique painter who can make that illusionistic device, like the trees seen from the bottom, looking toward the up. And his painting was known for naturalism. Like people say that a bird can fly into the tree because it looks so realistic. And then bird died because the painting was on the temple's wall. So the bird hit the head and then died. I mean, there are a lot of stories about Maruyama Ukyo's unrealistically amazing works. And we talked about Hakuin Eikaku in relation to Zen Buddhism. He's a successor of monk painter. Like, Zen Buddhism still carried on their legacy along with tea ceremony. So you have this type of the character mu, nothingness by Hakuin Eikaku. So now I'm going to stop sharing. And then let's see. Let me chat for me. Do you see me on the screen now? I suppose so, right? Are you still here? Yeah, are you still here? Okay. Oh, Melissa, you are here too. Oh, I'm glad that you had Wi-Fi access. So now, hold on, guys. I want to do one more thing. So now I want to break out again. So, talk to each other like about what you understood about the midterm exam. And then if you have any questions, something's not so clear, you can talk to me. So now, hold on. I want to have, no, let's see, 7. If I have 7, then I have 7 groups. Hold on. I will start it. So you talk to each other about 5 minutes, and then I will end the breakout session, okay?